1,000 armored knights charged up a hill. They believed no army could stop them. Hidden in the grass ahead were sharpened stakes. Behind those stakes waited a patient sultan. Within 1 hour, Europe's finest knights were dying. Thousands more would drown trying to escape. Their pride had blinded them to the trap. This is the story of a crusade. It ended in disaster on a quiet hillside. That hillside sat just above the Danube. By the late 1300s, Europe faced a growing terror. That terror came from the east. The Ottoman Empire was still young, but it was fiercely ambitious and expanding fast. Within a few decades, it swallowed most of the Balkans. Bulgaria fell under Ottoman control. Serbia became a tribute-paying vassal state. Constantinople itself sat surrounded by Ottoman forces. Its walls held, but only barely. Its emperor sent desperate letters westward. He begged Christian Europe for aid. At the head of this empire stood Sultan Bayezid I. His own soldiers gave him a nickname. They called him Yıldırım, meaning Thunderbolt. He moved his armies with startling speed. He struck one enemy before another could react. No ruler in the region matched his pace. Wallachia sat directly between Hungary and Ottoman lands. Its ruler, Mircea the Elder, watched Ottoman raids grow bolder. Each year, Ottoman forces pushed further into new territory. Hungary itself had already suffered several border raids. Watching all this with mounting dread was King Sigismund of Hungary. His kingdom bordered Ottoman territory directly. He understood this enemy better than most Western rulers. He knew exactly what was coming next. Sigismund appealed to the courts of Europe. He called for help against this threat. He framed the coming campaign as a crusade. It was a chance to push the Ottomans back. It was a chance to defend Christendom itself. The response arrived in staggering numbers. Knights and nobles came from France and Burgundy. More came from Germany and even distant England. Chroniclers describe a camp glittering with silk banners. Confident young lords arrived eager for battle. Many had never faced an Ottoman army before. Exact figures from this era are hard to confirm. Many estimates place the army above 15,000 men. It was a staggering force for its time. Pope Boniface IX blessed the campaign personally. He declared it a true holy war. Volunteers were promised forgiveness for their sins. This spiritual reward drew men from across the continent. Yet the gathered army spoke many different languages. French, German, and Hungarian soldiers rarely understood each other easily. Translators struggled to keep pace during councils. This quiet confusion would matter more than anyone expected. The Crusaders marched down the Danube River. Their target was the fortress town of Nicopolis. For roughly 2 weeks, they laid siege to its walls. Cannons battered the defenses day after day. The garrison inside held on and waited. They hoped rescue would arrive in time. It seemed only a matter of time before the town fell. Then, in mid-September of 1396, scouts brought grim news. Sultan Bayezid himself was approaching fast. He was bringing his full field army. His goal was simple. He intended to break the siege completely. Nicopolis itself sat on a bluff above the river. Its walls had withstood earlier sieges in the past. An Ottoman garrison of a few thousand men held it. They fought with real discipline despite being badly outnumbered. Every day of resistance bought Bayezid more time. Every day also drained crusader patience and supplies. This was the moment that would decide everything. King Sigismund understood the stakes clearly. He had fought the Ottomans before this campaign. He knew their tactics and their tricks well. He proposed a battle plan built on experience. Hungarian and Wallachian troops would take the vanguard. These were veterans of Ottoman-style warfare. The heavily armored French and Burgundian knights would follow behind. They would form a second decisive wave. This order made sense on paper. It would blunt the enemy's usual opening tricks. It would leave fresh knights ready to finish the job. The French nobility rejected this plan outright. To men raised on codes of chivalry, this felt insulting. A second-line position offered no glory at all. Glory belonged to whoever struck first in battle. Mircea the Elder of Wallachia offered similar warnings. He knew Ottoman battle tactics from painful experience. Like Sigismund, he urged patience over hasty glory. His council joined a growing pile of ignored advice. These men had crossed a continent seeking that glory. John of Nevers was young and headstrong. He was the son of the Duke of Burgundy. He insisted his own knights lead the charge. One older nobleman argued desperately for caution. His name was Enguerrand de Coucy. He warned that pride made a poor strategy. His warnings were dismissed as timid thinking. The plan for a French-led charge moved forward. Sultan Bayezid prepared his ground with real discipline. He chose a slope that looked gentle. In truth, it would exhaust any charging horse. Along the front line, he placed sharpened stakes. These were built to break a cavalry charge. They would slow horses at the worst possible moment. Behind these obstacles waited disciplined Ottoman infantry. Archers stood ready in tight, practiced formations. Further back, hidden just beyond the ridge, sat his true weapon. Fresh cavalry reserves waited there untouched. They had seen no fighting yet that day. On one flank stood loyal vassal troops from Serbia. Stefan Lazarevich commanded these soldiers personally. He was a young nobleman with a complicated history. His own father had died fighting the Ottomans years earlier. That earlier battle was fought at Kosovo. Now the son fought under the Sultan's banner instead. Every piece of Bayezid's formation carried a clear purpose. Nothing on that hillside was left to chance. Crusader knights wore heavy plate armor from workshops across Europe. Their war horses were bred specifically for battlefield charges. Ottoman soldiers wore lighter armor built for speed and endurance. This difference would matter greatly once battle began. Sigismund's Crusader camp buzzed with confidence the night before. Wine flowed freely among the French contingent. Many nobles spoke openly of an easy victory. Few understood how carefully Bayezid had prepared. Fewer still respected the discipline of Ottoman soldiers. Chivalric pride convinced many that numbers alone would win. That single assumption would cost thousands of lives by morning. At dawn, the French and Burgundian knights began their charge. Almost immediately, the terrain worked against them. Their warhorses struggled against the steep incline. Full plate armor added brutal weight to every stride. As they closed the distance, Ottoman archers opened fire. Volley after volley tore into the advancing ranks. The morning air filled with dust and shouting. Horses screamed as stakes tore into their legs. Metal clashed against metal in a rising, constant din. The hidden stakes broke apart the tight cavalry formation. Many knights had to dismount and fight on foot. They hacked through obstacles built to slow this exact assault. Still, raw aggression carried the Crusaders forward. Superior armor and weapons gave them an early edge. They tore through the first Ottoman infantry line. Chroniclers describe knights shouting battle cries as they climbed. Some accounts claim Nevers led from the very front. Whether this detail is fully accurate remains debated today. What is certain is the ferocity of that charge. For one brief, thrilling moment, victory felt close. Some knights later claimed they saw the enemy break. That moment of confidence proved to be their undoing. The exhausted French believed they had broken Bayezid's army. In truth, they had only cleared his outer screen. They pushed onward past the ridge without pause. Ahead waited Bayezid's hidden reserve, fresh and ready. What met the French was untouched Ottoman cavalry. The Crusaders' horses were already spent from the climb. Their arms ached from an hour of relentless combat. Their formation, once tight and terrifying, had scattered badly. Fresh Ottoman riders crashed into this disorganized mass. The entire character of the battle shifted within minutes. Ottoman commanders had planned for exactly this scenario. Every reserve unit understood its precise role beforehand. This discipline contrasted sharply with Crusader confusion in that moment. Momentum, once fully theirs, slipped away just as fast. Behind this collapsing vanguard, Sigismund's main force began advancing. This was exactly what the original plan intended. It arrived far too late to change anything. Stefan Lazarevich's Serbian cavalry struck the exposed flank. Their attack landed with brutal, practiced precision. The Hungarian lines had already grown unsettled. They watched French knights fleeing back down the hill. That sight alone began to break their nerve. Panic spreads fast across any medieval battlefield. It spread through the crusader ranks within minutes. Soldiers who marched east so confidently now scrambled for safety. Many ran toward the river, desperate to escape. Sigismund himself barely avoided capture that morning. He fled the field by boat down the Danube. He left behind the very army he had led there. What followed was no longer a battle in any real sense. It became something closer to a slaughter. Crusaders who could not reach the river were cut down. Others were dragged from their horses and taken captive. Thousands who did reach the water drowned instead. Their own armor, never built for swimming, pulled them under. Some crusaders tried to make a final stand nearby. Their resistance collapsed within minutes under fresh pressure. Others threw down their weapons in open surrender. Ottoman soldiers moved through the field methodically afterward. Few crusaders found any real chance to escape unnoticed. Some nobles surrendered, hoping rank alone might buy mercy. By the time fighting ended, the hillside had transformed completely. It had become a graveyard within a single morning. Survivors later described the scale of destruction vividly. Bodies covered the slope from ridge to riverbank. Smoke drifted low over the bodies scattered there. This was an army that arrived certain of victory. It left having lost almost everything it brought. Sultan Bayezid's response to his triumph carried a darker edge. During the earlier siege, crusaders had killed Ottoman prisoners nearby. Bayezid, learning of this, ordered his own brutal reprisal. Chroniclers describe long rows of captured knights before him. Thousands were executed, according to several surviving accounts. Exact numbers from this period remain genuinely impossible to verify. Only the wealthiest, most valuable nobles escaped this fate. They were kept alive instead for future ransom payments. Among these survivors was John of Nevers himself. He was the very knight whose impatience helped trigger the disaster. Reports describe the execution site as grim beyond words. Rows of prisoners knelt before Ottoman soldiers that morning. Few among the captured expected any mercy afterward. Bayezid reportedly watched the process from a raised platform. This single act haunted European memory for generations. Nevers spent years afterward as a captive far from home. His freedom was eventually purchased through an enormous ransom. His father's duchy paid the staggering price without hesitation. He returned to Burgundy, carrying the Crusade's memory with him. That memory stayed bitter for the rest of his life. Many other noble families received no such news at all. Their sons were simply gone, lost near the Danube forever. An entire generation of Western chivalry had marched east. They came seeking glory and found only ruin instead. News of the disaster reached Western Europe slowly. Reports arrived through fragmented letters and returning survivors. Courts across France and Germany reacted with genuine shock. Many had expected triumphant news instead of tragedy. The scale of the loss stunned an entire generation. Rarely had so many noble families lost sons at once. Chroniclers described a hush across royal courts that winter. Feast days that year passed without usual celebration. The crusade had promised glory, but delivered grief instead. The consequences of Nicopolis rippled far beyond that battlefield. Momentum for organized Christian resistance collapsed almost overnight. Ottoman prestige, already formidable, grew stronger still afterward. Bayezid's reputation as an unstoppable conqueror seemed fully confirmed. No major Western crusade of this scale followed for generations. Historians still study Nicopolis as a lesson in disunity. Military scholars cite it when teaching command structure. A coalition without one respected commander often fails. Nicopolis remains one of history's clearest examples of that failure. Some later writers called it the last true crusade. Europe would fight the Ottomans again, but differently. Smaller wars and shifting alliances replaced grand crusading dreams. Some modern historians view Nicopolis differently today. They argue Ottoman victory was never fully guaranteed beforehand. A more patient crusader strategy might have changed everything. This uncertainty makes the battle endlessly debated even now. Yet, history often ignores the plans of kings and sultans. It held one final irony in reserve for Bayezid. Barely 6 years later, a new conqueror arrived from the east. His name was Timur, a Central Asian warlord. His armies had already devastated Persia and India. He turned his fearsome attention toward the Ottomans next. At the Battle of Ankara in 1402, disaster struck again. Timur's forces crushed Bayezid's once invincible army almost completely. The Thunderbolt Sultan, so recently Europe's greatest terror, was captured. He reportedly died in captivity soon after. His empire collapsed into chaos and open civil war. Nicopolis and Ankara sit linked across just 6 years. Both disasters shared the very same fatal ingredient: overconfidence, arriving exactly when patience was needed most. Consider what truly happened on that hillside above Nicopolis. An experienced king offered a plan built on hard experience. A Wallachian voivode offered that very same warning. Pride and hunger for personal glory rejected both outright. Disunity among supposed allies proved deadlier than any enemy soldier. A patient, disciplined sultan needed only stakes and hidden reserves. He used them to shatter an army twice his size. Sometimes the largest, proudest force on a battlefield loses everything. It is not always the strongest army that survives the day. Sometimes it is only the most patient one.